Well, we really can't go anywhere without bringing plants back, even if it's later in the season. And I go, oh, we've planted enough things this year. We'll wait till next year to get a few more things. Well, we were on the road. We went up to Putnam Hill Nursery. If you're following the channel, there's a video from that nursery. We met her originally at a pine knot sale years ago. She used to do the sales on the road while she was building her nursery. Now she's open to the public seasonally. You can check with her or by appointment. And then also does some mail order in the Mid-Atlantic if you're interested in plants from her. I think 4 of the plants I'm going to show you are from there, and then 1 from White Flower Farm. We brought back a few things for the native garden. This Phlox paniculata is super interesting. It's called fashionably early. It blooms about 2 weeks earlier than other garden phlox. Upright habit, of course, like other garden phlox. It has a kind of a blush pink flower. Here in the container, it appears to be white, really, because, it's crowded in a pot. It's not going to do exactly what it's supposed to be doing. You can see it's been blooming for a while at this point. I love being up in the mountains and seeing the Phlox paniculatas in bloom, and all the butterflies in the understory of the wood somehow find them and are pollinating them. You'll be walking along a trail with a butterfly, that just is on its way to another phlox this time of year. So long bloomed, starts a couple weeks earlier than others, will bloom right up until the fall. Pretty much everybody watching can grow this particular plant. I think it's like zone 4 to 8, maybe it's zone 4 to 9. I'll put it up on the screen. But these, again, wanted to pick one of these up. This one's mildew resistant, which is important if you're doing Phlox paniculatas in our ornamental gardens. There's a lot of breeding around resistance to powdery mildew, and then there's a bunch of older selections that are out there that are just naturally kind of mildew resistant. David is one of those. It's white flowering one. We struggle a bit with our Phlox paniculatas out here in the garden. I think I have the soil slightly over amended, and where we have a couple now that have kind of broken through that and are reliable coming back for us, I'm going to make sure that I'm not adding extra compost or anything like that when I plant this plant. I think they like being on the struggle, just a little bit for some reason. So we'll use that strategy, make sure they're not staying wet in the winter, but they'll take moist soil during the summertime, or average moist soil. This is fashionably early lavender ice, Phlox paniculata. Next up is one non-native that we got. This is a white veined Dutchman's pipe that is incredibly striking foliage on this plant. This plant will take dry shade, and there are not a lot of plants that will take dry shade. It'll also take sun, but it's got to be irrigated quite a bit in the sun. But we'll use this as a shade plant. It'll get 6 to 12 inches tall, something like that. Kind of spreads across the ground, but not aggressively, maybe 3 feet wide. And new shoots come from the ground during the season. It is deciduous. It'll lose its leaves during the winter time. It has this beautiful foliage on it. But the other thing that's super interesting about this plant is it's in the pipe vine family. There's the flower bud right there. There's how the flower looks when it's initially opening. And then it has this really interesting, that's what it becomes in time. Super, super interesting. This is a plant that the pipe vine swallowtail uses, and it will absolutely strip the foliage off this plant. And I'll be happy when that happens. Any plant that we have here in the garden that is a host plant for something like that is fun to watch. So the caterpillars will just come along and strip this plant at some point if they find it. So that's kind of a fun thing. Continuous flowers, as it's putting on new growth during the season. Each of these little side leaves that comes off of it as they're forming has another flower on it, and so. Anytime it's actively growing, it's kind of throwing new flowers, but really striking foliage on this plant. We got this really fun native agave from Putnam Hill Nurseries. This is Virginia agave, or Manfreda virginica, or agave virginica, go by several names out in the world. These are native the entire Southeast, up into like Southern Illinois even. So quite a big range for this plant. It's an evergreen succulent. like plant that we would expect from an agave. Not a lot of people are going to know we have an agave that's actually native to the southeast here, typically in rocky outcroppings, high pH soils, that kind of thing. We'll probably put it out by the road, out by that concrete curb. It's probably going to be a good place for it, and it's going to need sharp winter drainage, just like you would expect from another agave. It can take water during the growing season. I mean, it is full of water. And they grow from water during the growing season, but then in the wintertime when they're not actively growing, they don't want to sit in water at all. It'll get about a 4 foot flower spike on it during its lifespan, whereas agave we typically think of as century plants or decade plants. It depends on how long before they bloom. The whole plant will just die when that happens. This one offsets, so it would have an additional plant, but it also can grow. It also can bloom multiple times in its life. They're pollinated by sphinx moths at night. Bumblebees during the day will come to the flowers, but moths are the main pollinator for these during the nighttime hours. So they have that nighttime fragrance. Super showy flower spike on this. It'll be a while before we see any flowers on this tiny plant, obviously, but it's just super interesting to have a native agave here in the Raleigh garden. So if you saw the video at Putnam Hill Nursery, you know we probably were coming home with one of these stowaway pygnanthemums or mountain mint. So this is a pygnanthemum incanum, and this one's called stowaway because it was from where it was found. And then I think Tony has one, there's one at Juniper Level that in 6 years is 3 feet tall and 3 feet wide. So it doesn't run and take over your garden like the rest of the mountain mints. And if you saw it in the video at Putnam Hill Nursery, it had this beautiful, the bracts around the flowers are incredibly showy. They're almost white and silver color, I guess we would call that. And when the sun's hitting it in the morning, it's just super showy. So the flowers are fairly insignificant on here, although every pollinator in the world would disagree with you because they get, and if we go to a garden that has mountain mint, lots of different species of mountain mint. But if you see a big stand of mountain mint in a garden, you'll wonder why the pollinators are on nothing else. It's all the honeybees, the native bees, the butterflies, everything coming to this plant. This particular one is interesting because it doesn't run as even in this container. It's so odd looking at this in this container because normally what we would see is suckering, out to the edges of the pot on something like this, where it had gone. If it goes to sleep one time and comes back up, normally you would see the whole pot full and be almost unsellable really in a nursery setting because they just take over the pot so much that none of the individual plants they're out competing one another in the container, really hard to grow. And this thing just has this single woody stem right in the middle of the pot, which is just completely and totally different than any other mountain mint. So this one's one that you can get and not take over your garden and still offer the pollinators so much. There's a lot of other uses for tea and all kinds of things. This plant has a lot of other historical values as well. But here in our garden, it's going to be a mountain mint that we can plant and it not have to be controlled constantly. This is a Veronica. This species longifolia is not actually native to the U.S. It's like Europe and over to China. There are some Veronica that are native to North America and throughout the northern hemisphere. Really, I think is where they're native to. They're in the plant family Plantaginaceae, which I just like to say. It's just because once you figure out how to say it, it just rolls off the tongue, right? Really drawn to this particular one. It's called First Love, and look how compact it is. This one came from a white flower farm. Just really great breeding on this plant. Upright, narrow habit, pollinator magnet all season long. You'll get the single shoot will come up at the top and then flower out, and you can come underneath that and prune that off if you want to. But they're pretty self-cleaning really, because the side shoots will just come up over that. And so they continually does that all season long. If they get kind of tired midsummer and it slows down blooming, you can actually just come across the top of it and take it, off with its head, and it'll flush back out from that and start blooming again. But it blooms pretty much the entire season. These are hardy in zone 4 to 9 or something like that, like a really wide range, all the way up to zone 3. Steph is saying, because I couldn't remember. Sometimes I'm nervous about saying zone 3 when I'm shooting the videos, but all the way up to zone 3. So really easy, herbaceous perennial. It's going to die back perennial. It's going to die back to the ground in the wintertime. I think 4 out of the 5 things I'm showing in this video. So we showed off 3 natives in the video and 2 non-natives in the video, but this is going right into this perennial border around our back patio back here, where the other Veronica does really very well here in the garden and just so long bloomed. That's the main thing about them, is they're offering the pollinators something the entire season out here in the garden. So there's, again, we leave every time and go, we're not going to bring any plants back, and then our shower in the van, we have our shower bathroom combo in the van is always full of plants on the way back home. So we just can't leave and come back without them. And we really enjoyed visiting Putnam Hill Nursery, enjoyed visiting White Flower Farm again, and look forward to seeing some other places around the country before the year's over. And I would imagine we'll probably bring back more plants. Thanks for watching.